is in a world of trouble due to his court case involving the passing of YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser. Here's an entire breakdown of the court case with exclusive evidence shown in court against YNW Melly. Let's get straight into it. So, it starts on October 26th of 2018. At 3:30 a.m., YNW Melly, YNW Juvie, YNW Sack Chaser, and YNW Portland, they were all at a recording studio getting work done for one of YNW Melly's future albums. When their session was over, they ended up packing all of their stuff, hopping into their Jeep, and started heading home. The driver of the vehicle that day was Cortland Henry, otherwise known as YNW Portland, and YNW Melly was actually sitting directly behind him at the time. YNW Portland decided to drive on a back road home, and this was to skip the early morning traffic jam. And while law enforcement doesn't know exactly yet what happened inside of the car, the theory is that YNW Portland pulled the car over, there was a distraction made inside of the vehicle to catch Juvie and Sack Chaser off guard, and that is when YNW Melly did the act towards them in the vehicle. Now that is still yet to be confirmed, but law enforcement believe it was YNW Melly who did the act, as YNW Melly sent his girlfriend at the time 2 weeks later a Snapchat saying, and I quote, "I kept Portland with me because at the end of the day, he did one of the realest stuff in my life." Now I had to change a few words due to some rules, but you get the point. Now this actually could be YNW Melly's way of thanking YNW Portland for remaining loyal and not snitching to the law enforcement. After the act was done, however, the Jeep was then brought into a side parking lot where nobody was in sight, and that is when YNW Melly and YNW Portland roughed up the vehicle in a 360 motion, making it appear as if it actually went through a drive-by, which would then be Melly and Portland's excuse on why Juvie and Sack Chaser sadly passed. After 40 minutes goes by without YNW Melly or Portland calling for medical attention, YNW Melly and Portland decided to drive Juvie and Sack Chaser while in critical condition in the back seat all the way to the hospital themselves instead of calling for immediate help. It wasn't until February 13th where YNW Melly was brought into jail for the act which led to Juvie and Sack Chaser's passing, with YNW Portland also being brought into jail for 2 counts of accessory and helping YNW Melly cover it up. Law enforcement then brought out a huge list of evidence against YNW Melly, which now makes many fans believe that YNW Melly is guilty of Sack Chaser and Juvie's passing, and here is some of the most important evidence that they shared. Now, law enforcement broke down pretty easily on what happened on the night Juvie and Sack Chaser passed, and well, here's how it starts. The first document states, and I quote, "We also have a video of Mr. Demons admitting to doing an act towards 2 individuals in the head." Again, I had to change a few words, but you understand the point. The next court document states, and I quote, "This video was on Mr. Demon's cell phone, which was brought to my office by Jameson Francis," and well, that's how we had that. And that is all the evidence that Your Honor has. The third court document states, and I quote, "These particular cell phones, which were both iPhone 10s, were on the T-Mobile network. T-Mobile has a very interesting feature where it will tell you the environment that the cell phone is in. So from these cell phone records, I can tell you the exact moment that Demons got out of the car and staged the drive-by location." Now, why this is so important is, if you remember at the start of the video, I spoke about how YNW Melly and Portland took 40 minutes to get Juvie and Sack Chaser medical attention. Law enforcement, they want to know what YNW Melly was doing with that 40 minutes of time, so they teamed up with T-Mobile and they were able to go back in time and track where YNW Melly's cell phone was going at that specific time. Why this is so huge is because not only does it give law enforcement the exact location of where it all happened, they can also see if YNW Melly ever left the vehicle during the altercation going down, because why would you leave your vehicle during a drive-by? That makes no sense. So it could actually prove if YNW Melly roughed up his own vehicle to make it appear as if it was a drive-by or not. So while law enforcement were trying to find out evidence around the area of where it happened, they also thought about getting YNW Melly's cell phone, as YNW Melly wasn't immediately locked up after the incident happened. So he was obviously doing stuff on his cell phone, maybe sending out some messages to people that can give law enforcement hints towards what really happened. And well, they were definitely right. In one of the evidence, it says that YNW Melly had a video on his cell phone of him literally admitting to doing the act towards YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser. Now, YNW Melly's manager, 100K Management, was actually the man holding YNW Melly's cell phone while he was in jail. Turns out, YNW Melly had this video on his cell phone, but he did have it deleted. But law enforcement are able to do something called a data extract. What a data extract is basically law enforcement's way of bringing back any deleted text messages, deleted videos, deleted photos, even Snapchats back to life, and can actually use it as evidence towards the person in court. And with law enforcement finding a video of YNW Melly being recorded and admitting to doing the act, not only does it make YNW Melly look super guilty in this court case, but it also gives law enforcement the tools to basically have so much power against YNW Melly. Not only can they bring back deleted messages and photos, but they can also track where YNW Melly went that morning, as the main question is, why did it take YNW Melly and Portland 40 minutes to get medical attention for their two best friends that were in critical condition? If YNW Melly is found guilty of this entire thing happening, which many fans do find YNW Melly guilty, YNW Melly will be serving the rest of his life in prison. His music career will be over, sadly, and YNW Melly allegedly is already out of pre-recorded music, so we will not be receiving a new YNW Melly album or any new YNW Melly songs. Now, I want to know your guys' opinion on this court case. I just provided some amazing evidence that is being used in the YNW Melly court case, so let me know your opinions on it down below in the comments.